Welcome back, folks. This is another episode, another great show. We're going to have an amazing guest today, talk about DEI. And before we get into that, what's up, Walt?
Man, I'm good, brother. Happy
Happy
Friday to
Friday,
you,
brother.
man. I'm good. How about you?
Yeah, same here, man. Happy Friday. I'm good. Just chipping away, man. Just keep going, keep learning,
Yes.
keep growing, our
Yes.
motto. And that's it, man. What's it? I see you got an article. What's that about?
Yeah, it's a couple of stats about employee wellness.
Okay.
65 critical workplace wellness
Oh, dang.
statistics of 2025.
You're not going to get into 65 of them, though, right?
No, not. So the one I wanted to touch on was the workers' response to employee wellness efforts.
Okay.
So it said that workers are interested in improving their financial, physical, and emotional well-being. We know that we're a part of that group that wants to improve that for ourselves and others.
Absolutely.
And it says the vast majority of employees care about their wellness. In a study from Deloitte, 91% of respondents shared that they have goals for their well-being.
Yeah.
Right. So that's an overwhelming one. Moreover, 75% of employees and 89% of C-suite executives surveyed reported that improving their well-being is the top priority for them.
Wow. Yeah. As it should be.
And it said the same report found that 68% of employees and 81% of C-suite executives say that working on their well-being is more important than advancing their careers.
Absolutely. As it should be. Right? Put yourself first, right?
Because think about it, if you're not right in your, whether that's like spiritually, mentally, emotionally, or physically, like that can impact your career at the end of the day. So yes, I think you first have to be okay. You have to help yourself before you can help anybody else, right?
And that's exactly what I was thinking of. Like, it's, how they say, you got to pour into yourself. You got to love yourself before you can pour into anybody else and love anybody else. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad folks are putting that first, because that may be a little different from years in the past where they put work first and they put other things first before themselves, and you end up burning out. It's like us and payroll folk, when we put payroll before, or really before ourselves. But it's a really good conversation for payroll people, because like for me, I've always planned my vacation. I mean, we have to plan our vacations around the payroll schedule, right? I'm a one-man show or one-person show, right? And as far as payroll is concerned for my company, so nobody's doing it if I'm not doing it. Sure, there are instructions, and we use a vendor, that ADP, that could absolutely get us through the emergency if, heaven forbid, I was in, somewhere and I just couldn't get there to do it. Absolutely.
Something happened.
Right. ADP can definitely, like how we talk about it, run the last file. I can pay people off the last file, something like that.
Business continuity
plans. But, so anyway, long story short, people always say, oh man, that stinks that you have to plan it around me. And I'm like, nah, not really. It's instead of that week, it's a different week, unless it's something specific, like an event that the event is not changing, payroll's not changing, so it conflicts, then maybe that could be an issue. But I've never had a problem in my 20 plus years where I had to miss anything of any great importance on my personal side for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I want to speak to the other side of that, because yes, you do have that work ethic and stuff like that, but it's important for people to know when to take a break.
Sure.
Instead of giving that burnout, right? Like, yes, you can be committed and steadfast in your processes, and next thing you're like, I'm not sleeping good. I'm dreaming about payroll before I have to go to work. Like, it's happened to me. Like over the weekend, it was Monday, and it's not really Monday, it's Saturday.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like having those things happen. So I think it's important. I just want to read over one more thing before I just join. There was a Gallup study that the respondents reported to. So it said that though mental health is something that they want to
Hmm.
prioritize. It says that only 61% of employees have access to mental health care as a part of their benefits package. The responders
Mm.
replied
61.
to
I
it.
thought that's a higher number than I thought, though.
It is lower than I thought. I thought a lot of companies nowadays would have been, but look, I, when I think about it, I guess it might be the small businesses
Yes, that's what I was just
that may
gonna
not
say.
offer that.
That's exact. This
Yeah.
it's the it's not that they don't have access to mental health. Some of them
Oh,
don't have access to benefits at all. Well, you found it. What?
I just thought another
There you
stat
go.
is even lower for small businesses. It says 54% report having access to mental health
Yeah,
coverage.
yeah. There you go.
Wow.
And it's probably again because it's probably a symptom of smaller employers not being able to offer health
Mhm.
insurance at all, right? Because if you're under 100, you you fall into this kind of space where your folks have to go to open market, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Right, the state and federal healthcare systems type of thing, what we call Obamacare, and I don't know if that's a dig or not. Like I think it's great that we call it that, but I don't know if it's a you know what I mean. But
No, I
anywho,
get it.
right? Yeah, exactly. But
And look,
that's
the last
probably
thing I
what
want,
it is. Yeah.
oh, go
No,
ahead.
good. No, good.
The last thing I want to say here is that nearly 4 in 10 employees that responded to this survey,
Hmm.
38% report that their employers have discontinued various well-being
Oh
programs,
wow,
including stress management, nutrition, parental and caregiver support, and mortgage assistance.
wow.
So it's just, I think a lot of them, some of that has to do with inflation as well, because things have gotten more expensive and some companies, depending on what industry that they're in, they may be trying to cut some costs somewhere, right? And I think that they're like, oh, we can get rid of this program because how many people are enrolled in the program anyway, and the company may just get rid of that instead of paying for it.
But do you think it's a separate policy, or is it? I feel like it's rolled into your medical.
Yeah, that's what they said. That's what this is saying.
I'm
That
sorry, I
it's a
may have.
part of the benefits
Yeah.
coverage, benefits package,
Okay.
and that is so that they take it away. So, because like you can, I guess the company can like kind of
Oh, you can take it
pick and choose
away
what
and
they
it'd be
want.
cheaper, I guess?
Yeah,
Oh, I always thought it was rolled into they look, so shows that I've always had decent access to coverage, but I always thought it was part of our medical plan. And then,
yeah,
what I did experience is it's limited. Like we will only get a certain amount of things covered, and then the rest is out of
yeah,
pocket, which is crazy
yeah.
because I think everybody needs a therapist forever. From there we go. Hey,
Hello.
Hey, Dr.
How are
V.
you today?
good and you?
Well,
I'm
are
good,
you?
thank you.
Thank you so
Good,
much
good.
for giving us another shot here. Sorry about the last time and the confusion and all the things there.
No
Thank you.
worries. It's funny, I have alopecia, and so I usually wear wigs for these podcasts. But today I was just really hot, and I feel like my bald head's rocking it today.
That's right.
And now all three of us are baldies.
Yeah.
I love it.
There you go. There it is. That's right. We're right at home.
Yes, yes.
We're going to get right into it, Doc. We are honored to have Dr. Victoria Mattingly with us. She's an accomplished organizational psychologist, founder of Mattingly Solutions, a woman owned and woman led firm where she delivers high impact keynotes and allyship, which I'll want to learn more about, mental health, workplace inclusion. With over 15 years of experience helping organizations build equitable, human centered cultures, Dr. V is renowned for blending research backed insights with powerful lived experiences, including her journey through cancer, alopecia, and mental health recovery. She's the author of Act Like an Ally and Work with an Ally, and co author of Inclusalytics
Nailed it. Nailed it.
How how DEI leaders use data and drive their work. I want to read these books. Dr. V has inspired executive leaders, HR professionals, ERG champions, and managers at Fortune 500 companies, global conferences, and always with the same goal to make inclusion actionable and allyship a shared responsibility. Dr. V, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for
Welcome.
having
So,
me.
Yeah. So tell us, like, we always ask origin stories, right? And like, how'd you get here? What got you into this business?
Yeah. So I majored in psychology as an undergrad, and I did not know much about organizational psychology. There wasn't a focus on that in like most psych programs.
Right.
And I graduated in 2008 during the worst recession since the Great Depression. So couldn't really get a job with my psychology degree. So I was bartending out in Portland, Oregon. And two organizational psychologists walk into my bar, tell me what they're in town doing. I'm like, let me get this straight. You're getting paid to make the lives of the employees better. And everyone's on board with this. What type of field is this? Sign me up. And so I ended up getting my PhD in that field. I started more in the learning and development space, particularly around emotional intelligence and what people call soft skills. I call them power
Yes.
skills.
I like
And
that.
then it was in 2016, I started getting involved in diversity, equity, inclusion. I started with a program for male executives to help them be better allies to women in the workplace. That was also the
Mm,
basis of my dissertation work. So that's really what, married the learning and development, the training in with the diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I've been really focused on workplace inclusion and allyship ever since.
amazing.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and I want to hear your assessment of these. Okay, Dr. V. So you're known for making allyship actionable and a shared responsibility. What's the first step that any leader or any employee can take from move from intention to action when it comes to allyship in the workplace?
Yeah, the very first step that either an ally or someone who wants to work with an ally, right? You need both sides. The very first step to take is to start building those relationships across our differences. So if you're a man in the workplace, ask yourself, do I have very many female colleagues? Am I inviting women to after hour happy hours or golf matches or the same things that I'm doing with my male colleagues, right? If you're a white individual, how many people of color do I have in my network? So really start questioning yourself, like, how can I diversify the people around me? And then how do I start building intentional, meaningful relationships with those individuals? Because I think a lot of times when someone wants to be an ally, they just jump right in. They don't take the time to get to learn about the individual or the group that they're trying to help and support. So building those relationships is just a pivotal first step.
Yeah. All right, awesome.
Awesome. So your signature keynote focuses on allyship and belonging. From your perspective, how do those concepts intersect with payroll and HR?
So when it comes to allyship and belonging, these are strategies to get the most out of our people. If you think about human resources, like how do we manage humans in the workplace so they feel like they can contribute their best work, they feel like they have a place there, they feel like they're valued, respected, seen, and heard, right? And allyship and that outcome of belonging is a key way of getting those outcomes of engagement, productivity, retention, attraction of top talent to organizations. And also when it comes to payroll, I think about an ally's role and responsibility in pay equity, really
Mhm.
working with their HR partners to understand where are big gaps in identity groups. So for example, are women getting paid less than men?
Mhm.
People of color getting paid less than white individuals? How can we identify these differences and then start getting at root causes? Sometimes pay differentials have justification, right? Someone has more experience, they have higher education, more credentials. That's okay. It's okay to not pay everyone the same exact amount. But whenever we see systemic differences that we're accounting for those years of experience and education and credentials, and we're still seeing a big difference between groups, that's where we can step up as allies or as individuals ready to work with an ally, maybe an executive level ally, say, hey, we found these gaps, right? I suspect we have these gaps. Can you help me as my executive ally to start closing them in our organization?
Wow, it's amazing. Go ahead.
Yeah, because you say something that I think I understand, but I want other folks to understand clearly too. You say one thing to have an ally, but you got to be. What's the other side of that? Work with it.
So what I call the ally and the partner. And I thought
Okay.
a lot about what that term should be. In research, they typically call it the recipient of
Hmm.
allyship. I don't like how passive that word recipient is, because a partner in allyship, someone who's benefiting from allyship, someone who's working with an ally, they need to be a very active participant in that partnership, right? The ally needs to know from the partner, what should I do? What are the outcomes that you are trying to achieve, and how can I help you get there? And if a partner says,
Mhm.
well, I don't know, you figure it out. The ally is not going to know what to do. The ally is going to
Exactly.
disengage, or the ally is going to end up doing the
Exactly.
wrong thing, which
Yep.
then won't even help the partner or help the group that they're trying to serve. And so, yeah, the ally and the partner. And then my book, my forthcoming book, depending on when you listen to this podcast, if it's after September, it's out. Before September, it's not. But it's called Act Like an Ally, Work with an Ally, and it's actually 2 books in one. When
Ooh.
you flip the book over, it's the other side of the book, right? And so, and the books
Wow.
reference each other, because I want people to ultimately read both sides, because I think about myself and my former business partner. She's a Black woman, and people look at us and say, oh, Victoria, Dr. V must be the ally, but she's a white woman. But she's been my ally in mental health, as a working mother, as someone who lost her father, like a grievance ally. She's been my ally in
Wow.
so many other ways. And so these are really fluid concepts, and we need to learn how to be effective on both sides of the coin.
I love that
Wow.
concept too. That idea of flipping the. That's dope. I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to buying this
Yep.
book. So if you can just give us like one takeaway from the book that you authored, Act Like an Ally and Work with an Ally, can you just give us one snippet from your book that payroll leaders or professionals should implement immediately?
Well, the core thesis of the book is that allyship is a two-way partnership. And so I think a
Okay.
way to implement that premise immediately is to start thinking about, who do I partner with in this organization? Whether it's me, being a partner, being that beneficiary of that partnership, or me potentially being an ally and leveraging my power and status and privilege to help support this person or this group, right? So I think it's a lot of like self-reflection, and that's action too. People think action means like physically doing something, but the taking the time and energy and resources to really look inward and ask yourself those questions, either who could I partner with, or who should I be an ally to, and then starting to make those connections.
Awesome. Thank
Perfect.
you.
Yep. So we switch gears a little bit to mental health and well-being. You speak on mental health in the workplace from both a psychological and personal lens. What role can payroll and HR play in supporting employee mental health, especially during times of organizational change or uncertainty?
Yeah, so HR and payroll, I mean, that's really where benefits lie. That's where leave policies lie. And when it comes to mental health, I think more organizations are starting to see the value and the importance of having mental health days available,
Hmm.
maybe 3 to 5 a year, I would recommend,
That's
just
a
to
good. I
give
like
people
that.
the permission and the encouragement, honestly, just to take a mental health day. I'm not physically ill, but I'm feeling mentally off, and I just need a day to get things back on track. So also from a payroll and an HR perspective, I think normalizing mental health in the workplace. I think
Hmm.
a lot of people see HR as just, checking the business and scary and documentation and reporting and all those things that, hey, no, like, we're all humans. We all have,
Mhm.
same way we have to take care of our physical health, we need to take care of our mental health. And we are an organization that's going to support that, whether it's through our benefits, our policies, our practices, or even just how we communicate and talk about these issues at work.
Yep. I love that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was just sorry, bro. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Brian. I'll ask my question
I
after.
was thinking of how payroll can help employees more via the paycheck. I was just where me and Walt and I are actually going to be dropping a book soon too. And I was reading through the one of the drafts, and it talked about the paycheck and employees' paycheck, and I was like, hey, well, I wonder what are some things And I'm just talking out loud here. It's not really a question. It's just like, how can payroll help people? Because they're saying there's like a stat out there, like folks don't understand their paychecks, and it when they do, it gives them a lot more comfort and confidence in their overall role and their money and their financial wellness. So I'm like, hey, how can we close? I guess it's more of a challenge for me and you, Walt. Like, how do we close that gap and make and maybe and something that Walt actually advocates a lot is how do we close the gap on employee understanding their paycheck so they do feel more comfortable? Is it upon new hire? Do we walk through the first pay stub with them maybe? Like different things like what can we do? What are some
Mhm.
opportunities that we have to close those gaps? So it just made me think of that as well. So my fault. Go ahead, Walt.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's important for us to, be an advocate for
Yep.
employees and really speak to our C-suite and leadership about that because it's a part of financial wellness is also a part of mental health and well-being too,
Oh yeah.
right? Because I think that as long as their pay is good, that can alleviate so many other stressors that may potentially occur, right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
so, Dr. V, based on your own journey and research, what are some of the most common barriers to creating psychologically safe workplaces? And how can leaders begin to break them down?
Yeah, I mean, the definition of psychological safety is an environment where people feel safe and comfortable sharing their perspectives, especially if it's divergent, different than everyone else in the room, expressing their opinions and just speaking up without fear of retaliation or punishment. And so, what leaders can do, and both formal and informal leaders, I think you have team leaders, people who help direct and influence their teammates, their peers, their direct reports. What can you do to signal to your team, to others that this is a safe space and they can share what they should know? We're always going to action what people share, right? I think that's the fear
Mhm.
leaders have, that if we humor this conversation that we have to like do something about it. No, there's a process, there's a certain hierarchy, decision making that's necessary before action is taken. But that doesn't mean we can't talk about it. That doesn't mean we can't put
Mhm.
it out there. And I think a way that leaders can signal that safety is by being vulnerable themselves and sharing things that maybe, people would feel like they'd be afraid to share. So going back
Yeah.
to the previous topic, hey, I took a mental health day last week. I wasn't feeling my
Yeah.
best. I wanted to get my head in order. Took a mental health day. We have these days available through HR, whatever, like having the policy ready to go to explain it, but we have these days available and I took it. I encourage y'all to take it too, or we just went through a restructure, right? A reorganization. And yeah, it sucks having to redo your job and having a new job description and a new team. Like it sucks. And just being able to share that and make that space so people can also feel then safe to share their perspective, their feelings, their opinions as well.
Yeah. Thank you for. Why do you feel like there's such a stigma on the whole mental health day? I feel like it's important for us to be able to have that vulnerability and really just let our employer know, hey, like you were saying, Dr. V, I do need some time to just kind of just recharge and just collect myself and just make sure that I'm in a good space because if I'm not if I'm not in a good space, it may potentially have some downstream impact in those that I service from my workplace and some people that I service at if I have a family or children or significant other, right? So I just, why do you think that's such a big deal still?
Well, fortunately, the stigma is starting to go away. And I see that
Yeah.
generationally. I see Gen Z, they own it. They have their therapists, they
Okay.
take their mental health days, they own their diagnoses. I feel like ADHD and like neurodivergence in general has
Yep.
been a lot more just accepted now. It's not seen as a
Yeah.
disability, it's just seen as part of someone's functioning,
Yep.
And I think that same spillover is happening to mental illness. I think the stigma
Okay.
still persists because those in power are typically older from
Mm-hmm.
previous generations
Yep.
where mental health was a lot more taboo. the way it's portrayed. It's like the, mentally ill people are crazy and they're unhinged, right? We can't trust them. So many years ago, they were institutionalized. It's an us versus them. At any given time, 1 in 5 working adults is experiencing some sort of mental health crisis. That's 20% of the population. That's huge.
No doubt.
But even bigger than that is the 80% that's not, right? And that 80% that's not, people are afraid of things they don't understand. People are afraid of things they can't relate to. So that's where that stigma comes from. I think the more we can advance the narrative and the social acceptability of mental illness and mental health in the workplace, we can start chipping away even more at those stigmas. And it's an act of vulnerability, right? In a lot of ways, corporate America and business in general, it's a competitive sport in a lot of ways. You want to show your vulnerable side. You don't want to show your weakness. You want to portray in your brand that I can do it all and I'm strong and I'm healthy and I'm ready to take it all on. And so being like saying that I'm having a mental health crisis, is very counter to that superhero narrative. And so taking a more human-centric approach, acknowledging that we all have our faults and challenges, and, talking also about how to overcome them. I had a major mental health crisis at the end of 2023, leading into 2024. And I'm doing so much better now, right? And it's been a journey, and sharing, my personal journey with therapy and getting the right medication and taking care of myself and stepping back and really evaluating what matters to me, working on my relationships, doing physical activity. Like, this is all an important part of my recovery. It's something I have to live with for the rest of my life, but I'm a very functional, high-performing individual. So I can give all those examples of, here's someone who lives with mental illness that's still getting it done and crushing it professionally. It's possible.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Me and my family were recently talking about our therapist, and we were like, I think she's a little crazy. And we were like, and I said, well, it changes the narrative a bit. Instead of hurting people, it's a hurt person helping someone.
Oh, I love that. Hurt people, help people. Oh, I love that.
Right. And my girls too were like, oh yeah, that's because we say that a lot, because I have and they come, oh, why did this one do this to me? And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like I say all the time, hurt people, and blah blah blah. So it's changing that narrative a bit. So yeah. Next question. We're going to switch gears a little bit into the inclusive leadership and data-driven DEI. You co-authored this book. Let me see if I can say it again. Inclusalytics, how DEI leaders use data to drive their work. What's one way a payroll or HR team can use data to advance workplace inclusion?
Yeah, so payroll owns a lot of the data that really matters to workplace equity, and that's the pay data. So using payroll data, take that data-driven lens to uncover systemic inequities, and then allies can leverage these payroll analytics to identify pay gaps by gender, race, other dimensions, push for structural changes like better compensation frameworks, also push for more transparency, right? Knowing what the pay ranges are, thinking about, I love how certain states now mandate the pay range for job postings. Like, what great information for those. Because a lot of times women and people from minority backgrounds, right? They're just coming into the new job with their pay information from their last job. And that's not right. They need to come in with the pay information for this job. What are my future peers making already in this role? Not what did I make at the last place. And so having that transparency is just so critical. And then tying DEI metrics to compensation, right? So rewarding inclusive leadership behaviors, rewarding allyship behaviors, rewarding the creation and retention of more diverse teams. And we're not seeing as much of this right now. And I'm not advocating for this right now because things are so choppy in the DEI space, right? But when the pendulum does swing back a little bit, if an organization does take diversity, equity, inclusion seriously, thinking about how are we awarding our people and how do we tie those rewards and incentives to our DEI goals, and payroll can have a huge role in it.
Awesome. Awesome. I think you just shared some of the metrics and signals that may indicate that an organization is moving in the right direction when it comes to inclusion and equity. But what might some of the red flags be the organization or maybe even a professional may need to watch out for?
Yeah. So most large organizations, mid-sized organizations, have an annual engagement survey, right? So
Mhm.
how engaged am I in my work? How much do I feel like I belong here? How motivated am I? And so taking that engagement score data and slicing it by identity groups. So, do we see
Mhm.
differences in how men and women are responding? Do we see differences by racial and ethnic groups, by sexual orientation, by age and generation, right? And so, really try to understand, how are these actually outcomes of inclusion, right? Engagement, feelings of belongingness, feeling, you have friends at work and whatnot. How do these vary by diversity group, right? And so when you start seeing big variance between those identity groups, that's a red flag. Why are women having such a different experience here compared to men? Why is our Latino population, feeling this way when everyone else is feeling just fine, And so I think that is one area. Another area to look at is turnover data. Are we
Hmm.
losing certain groups at a higher rate than others?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Hiring data. Are we selecting individuals from certain groups more than others? Looking at, of course, pay data. Are we compensating certain groups more highly than others? Right. And so it's really
Mhm.
looking at the demographics and slicing it by those important outcome variables and seeing where those differences are. Those are the big red flags.
I love it. You're
Thank
gonna
you.
send a bunch of
Yeah.
us payroll folks down crazy analytic rabbit holes. Yeah, for real. I'm already like, oh my God, I never even thought about looking at
Word.
it that way. Because we, as payroll folk, we worry so much about just making sure the compliance is met and da
Yeah.
da da. This is the
Mhm.
kind of, what'd you say, power skills
Power
compliance?
skills. Yeah.
Power. I
Power
love
skills.
that. I love that. So, in the interest of time, we're gonna wrap it up for you. But we want to ask you, where do you see the next frontier of inclusion, allyship, well-being at work?
So DEI, as we knew it 2, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, is dead. It's not the same, right? It's been appropriated by people who don't understand what DEI means. It's been flipped on its head. I've been called racist and sexist, and people think DEI is exclusionary. People think DEI is leaving people out and bringing on people who are qualified, for jobs. So DEI has just been completely dragged through the mud. And so we definitely need a rebrand. I talk about it now in
Yep.
terms of workplace inclusion, because I think we
Hmm.
can all get
Okay.
on board that we're
Yep.
going to have better people if we treat them so they feel valued, respected, seen, and heard. It's pretty
Yeah.
kind of a
Yeah.
duh value
Yep.
proposition. And to answer your question, and I'm very biased, I'll start by saying that I believe the future of DEI is allyship. I really do, because where
Yep.
DEI went wrong is that certain groups of individuals felt sorely left out, particularly white, straight, able bodied men. And
Wow.
allyship is a great way to say, hey, you can be part of the solution.
That's
You
right.
need to be part
We
of
need to be
we
part of this.
need
Yeah, they
we
need
were
to be.
never going to
Yep.
get the progress we could achieve otherwise if we don't have everyone on board. And so being able to
Yeah.
equip people who haven't typically seen themselves as part of DEI with the necessary tools and behaviors and frameworks to help pitch into this work and be part of the solution, I think the future of DEI is allyship. I really do.
Love it.
Amazing. Oh, this has been so
Yeah,
great.
it really has. I'm
So
really
great.
glad I pushed to make sure we get you back on. And just something fun that we like to do with our guests before they go is with this or that. We have a few questions, and it's both neither, either, doesn't matter. Just something to talk about. Walt, you want to start it off, and I'll finish it up?
Yeah. So we have 6 different questions, and I'm going to ask the first 3.
Okay.
Okay. Would you rather eat at the Anoya's Eatery or Hello Bistro?
Oh, Noise is my favorite restaurant in Pittsburgh. I love it. It's so good. If anyone
Nice.
comes to Pittsburgh, eat at Noise. It's amazing.
Nice.
I've only had it once when I lived there, and I miss it so much. All right, would you prefer a long walk or a mindful sit?
Long walk. I like walking
Okay.
meetings are my favorite. It's just like walking.
Oh wow,
Oh,
awesome. All right, Ed. These are both TV shows, so I don't know if you've watched them or not. But all right, so would you rather watch Severance or From?
I haven't even heard of From. I want to watch Severance because I want to see
Oh, okay.
the
oh, this
interpersonal
mental.
dynamics
Like,
in
I
the
think you're
workplace.
gonna love it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah,
haven't
yeah.
finished it, but I
Okay,
know it's deep. You got to pay attention.
Great
Oh,
okay.
I got the next. Okay, a
Yes,
great
sir.
movie or a great book?
movie. Popcorn.
Yeah.
No doubt. Ooh, the Penguins or the Steelers, or neither? Are you a sports fan?
I gotta say the Steelers. I don't love the PPG stadium that the Penguins play in. I always feel like it's so steep. What if you fall? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I just had more space to enjoy the game, and I love being outside. Pittsburgh has the most beautiful both football and baseball stadiums because they overlook the rivers
Mhm.
and the skyline, and
Yes.
so I'll say Steelers.
Nice.
Okay.
All right, last one. Teaching or learning?
Ooh, I love them both so
Gotti.
much. I love
Gotcha.
them both so
Yes.
much.
They both is
I
fine.
I'm
There you
gonna say
go.
teaching. The teaching just barely edges out because I love, especially at the university level, like inspiring,
Yes.
educating, entertaining my students. Like I love sharing the knowledge that I've gained. So I need to be a good learner to be a good teacher, but I do love teaching. And keynotes are just quicker ways to have that teaching moment as well. And so with my keynotes, being able to give one or two pieces of advice and make someone feel a little differently about something, I think teaching can be really powerful.
Awesome.
Love it.
Great, great.
Thank you
This has
so
been
much.
great, Dr.
Yes.
V.
Thank you so much
Yes.
for joining us. And where can folks find you? Where's the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah. So you can go to my website, mattinglysolutions.com, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm really active on LinkedIn. So it's just
Perfect.
Victoria Mattingly or VP Mattingly at LinkedIn. So please connect.
Love it. Awesome. Thank you so
Awesome.
much. As always, folks, we love you. Go out there, like, share, engage, subscribe, follow, all the things to help the show grow and help Dr. Manley grow and learn more about diversity. And as always, till the next time, we love you, folks. Peace.